Honestly, it's surprising this hadn't become an item before this. Technically, fireballs were more unique.
Oneshot is not like many RPGs. In fact, I'd say it's better than most RPGs, which is a pretty bold statement considering how good Undertale and Deltarune are, but I think it's better than those games in a way. It immediately hits you with one of the most lovable characters in gaming, Nico. Oneshot is a puzzle RPG focused on Nico. You control him as a messiah, constantly looking over the world, trying to restore the sun of the world. This world has been breached in darkness, and now it's just... You gotta say, but I instantly fell in love with this game for the atmosphere, the characters, the music, all parts of the game. It just, wow, it's just beautiful. It's a great game. I hope you actually download the game, link in the description below. There's a free demo that I'll be talking about later that I actually hope you check out. But you can also buy the game on Steam, and I strongly recommend getting it for full price. Let's talk about the history. Originally made for a game jam contest in a month, Oneshot was developed by Night Margin and Gur and became a pretty popular game, being downloaded over 35,000 times and even being featured on RPGmaker.net. Before I get more into the game, I just want to say this is a very spoiler heavy review, but I try my best not to spoil things. So if you do want to play the game, I'd probably just play it, but if you have no interest in playing the game, you can sail on right ahead. Oh, you've already played it, just go on right ahead. But I don't really spoil... Let me just go. I don't spoil the story or anything. I just mainly talk about it, the characters. So if you want to meet the characters and meet fresh face. Continuing on with the original, there were 3 endings you could get. 2 that I'll talk about later as they're used in the final game. And the 3rd ending would happen upon closing the game and reopening it. The paddle screen would be different, much darker than the normal one, and you'd be met with... Yikes, well that's enough internet for the day. Moving on to the main game, you wake up in a room you've never seen before, talk to a computer that knows your name and actually scared the shit out of me when I first played through. I didn't know, I had no idea what I was getting into when I first played this game. I thought it was just a funny RPG, I didn't watch any trailers, yet it knows who I am. Okay. After solving a few puzzles, you're led out into the Barrens, a wasteland with a few characters, but there is one common element throughout the entire area, a lack of hope. Nico quite literally shines throughout this area, bringing positivity everywhere where he goes. You get introduced to the main story of the world. The sun has been shining for a while, leading to darkness spreading and a lack of hope all around the world, but someone armed with a new sun and the Messiah will come and set things right by putting the light into the tower. That's obviously you and Nico. The world you navigate with Nico is beautiful. It's split up into a few areas and they all feel so real. The Barrens, the Glen, the Refuge, and the Tower. All beautiful places that feel extremely appropriate for a role they play in the story. Barrens is empty and atmospheric. The Glen is lively yet bittersweet. The Refuge is beautiful yet weirdly worrying. I don't know if anyone else gets this feeling, but just being in the Refuge makes me feel unsettled. And of course there's a tower which serves its purpose. I think that my favourite places are Glen and the Refuge. Something about the community in the Glen that makes me feel comfortable and happy, and Refuge just reminds me of the city about where I live. I think the reason I fell in love with this game is the characters. Obviously the star of the show here is Nico. He's just so lovable with the characteristics of being innocent and curious. It's refreshing to have a protagonist that, 1, actually talks, 2, isn't just some wisecracking guy who's stuck in an unfortunate situation, and 3, interacts with the characters and situation around them realistically. Nico gets terrified by the situation around them, and what kid wouldn't? They're a great character and it's just so amazing watching them interact with the other great characters like Prophetbot, Kip and Silver, Magpie the Trader, Maze, the Entity, George, Alula and Calamus, and don't forget the Lamplighter. These characters make the game feel so much more beautiful because of the brilliant writing from the members of Team Future Cat. It just makes me love the game even more. And not even to mention the soundtrack of this game, mainly composed by one of the geniuses of the game, Night Margin. It's just so beautiful. Every song has its moment, just easily gets locked in your head, making it unable to escape. Of course the main themes of the game are great, but my favourite song is from the original demo, which we'll play a bit of right now. This soundtrack really adds to the beauty of the game because some tracks feel atmospheric and fit the tone of the game. The Baron's main theme of Phosphor is a prime example of this. It feels so atmospheric and towards the end feels a bit chill, which just really fits the area. Overall, I just think it's one of the greatest soundtracks I've ever heard in game. One of the things that I had no idea about before I bought the game was the puzzles. Did I watch the trailer? No, not for a second. I just got recommended for a friend. So going into the game and seeing a computer that created a pop-up on my computer that said, "You only have one shot, Piers," scared the piss out of me. The puzzle just got cooler and cooler from then on, creating documents with passwords, changing your wallpaper, and so much more. It's such a cool way to execute puzzles from the standard RPG, which would be to look for a key or something, but instead, your computer is the key. Another element in Oneshot that I feel is overlooked in the grand scheme of things is crafting and combining items. Throughout the game, you'll get an item and be like, well, what the fuck am I meant to do with this? You'll carry that item with you for a few rooms, and you'll pick up another item, and then, boom, it clicks with you. You can combine those two items together. You can even hold items and make them interact with the environment to achieve things like creating a crowbar by crushing some metal. It's one of the first things you do in the game, but it doesn't really appear in the later run too much, so I feel to me that it was overlooked. We're going to be entering the spoiler zone for this part of the video, where I'm going to be spoiling part of the New Game Plus. So if you've not done the New Game Plus, well, I recommend you figure out how to do it. In 2017, Oneshot was updated with a new additional campaign called Solstice, for free. Now, this is basically just sweetens the deal for everyone, but Solstice is a lot more than a deal sweetener. It's incredible. Basically, when you open the game again, it'll give you the outcome of what you did in your previous run, so either an empty bed with the sun on, or just an error message saying save you're not found. But going into your Oneshot documents file and deleting a totally not real save file lets you enter the game again. At the start of the run, Nico will say your name and you'll be prompted to enter a password with the entity that's found in your documents, and congrats, you've entered a Solstice run. The Solstice run basically gives you more information about the entity, now known as the World Machine, and you learn a lot more about the world as a whole and how Nico is the only real human in it. I won't say too much because even though this is the spoiler zone, I do want you to go off and play this part for yourself because it's really beautiful. Meet some amazing characters in this part, and also see all of your favourite characters adapt to a new situation. So, bear with me here. I've created a brand new scale for my review. It's called the Sexy V Scale. Sexy V Scale. I call it the Sexy V Scale. Great name, I know. It basically stands for everything I find important in a game. The concept of the game, the sound, the gameplay, the visuals, the controls, the story, and just extra little details make me happy. Oneshot gets a 7 out of 7 on the scale. The soundtrack is beautiful, the gameplay is innovative, the puzzles are genius, the art style is just beautiful. Everything about this game is genuinely beautiful, and it's definitely one of the best RPGs to come in the last 5 years. I recommend it if you have a Windows machine, definitely pick this game up. It is 100% worth the money. It's just a beautiful game, probably one of the greatest games I've ever played. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of me talk about games, hit the subscribe button, even give the video a like if you want to see more like that. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.